No. Like it's upside down.
Can they see it?
Yeah,
Can they see it? Oh.
yeah. I'll show you. I don't know where it is now. This now.
Joanna, it's right side there.
What?
That's right. You're looking at it right.
Yeah, I know, but it's upside down for me. I don't know how to do. I don't know how that happened.
Can you do it so they don't see you?
I don't think so.
Who else knows how to do Zooms?
How do you do that?
I don't know.
Oh, all
You've
right.
done a Zoom. You've done Zooms before. I don't know.
No, it's not open. They're starting.
Can you
Okay.
do it so they don't see you?
What?
Can you do it so they don't see you?
Yeah.
Do that so keep yourself on. They can just hear you.
I hope so. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Always do Zoom. You got you guys.
Yeah. I don't know. There. It's upside down. That's not me, of course. But,
Where is you?
I had it on there now somewhere.
So that's you up here.
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know why it's not working like this. I don't know where this.
Good morning, everyone. This is Mike Kreneski. I'm not sure why, but my laptop loaded with my wife, who's the deputy.
That's what.
Yeah, Mike, I assume that
No,
was
no,
you.
she corrected.
You're
it,
good.
so, But deep is.
Line, please.
Okay, we're gonna get started. Turn on the microphones.
I'm gonna call the meeting to order. And we'll have Mayor Caggiano will lead us in the pledge this morning.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Rick?
Thank you. Okay, from the city of Ansonia, on the line, we have Mayor Cassetti. Mayor?
There.
No, maybe not yet.
No, he was there.
Is there? Mark and her.
Okay, I don't see him now. I don't see him online now.
No, he is there.
Yeah, Mayor Dave Cassetti.
All right, from the town of Beacon Falls, First Selectman Smith.
I'm here.
We're also joined on the line by Mike Kreneski from Beacon Falls.
I'm here.
Thank you, Mike. From the town of Bethlehem is First Selectman Sorty with us on the line.
No.
From the city of Bristol, Mayor Caggiano.
Here.
Thank you. From the town of Cheshire, Andrew Martelli. Good morning. Morning, sir. From the city of Derby, Mayor DiMartino.
Here.
Thank you, sir. From the town of Middlebury, First Selectman St. John.
Here.
From the borough of Naugatuck, Mayor Hess.
Here.
From the town of Oxford, I think we're expecting First Selectman Temple. Not here yet. Mayor Kilduff could not make it today. First Selectman Chatfield called in, said he had wanted you all to know he had a medical issue, which is prohibiting him from being here today. Town of Seymour, First Selectwoman Dragonis, she on the line? And we're awaiting Mayor Loretti's arrival. From the town of Southbury, First Selectman Manville.
Right here.
Thank you, sir. From the town of Thomaston, First Selectman Moan.
Present.
From the city of Waterbury, we're joined today by Judy Mancini.
Here.
Thank you.
Hey, Judy, long time no see.
How are you? Nice to see you.
Mark Ramo from Watertown could not be available today. From the town of Wolcott, we have Mayor Dunn. Thank you, sir.
Coming online today.
Yes. And also online from the town of Woodbury, First Selectwoman Perkinson.
Here.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum of both bodies. I'll also note for the record, we're joined today by Daniel Davis from Eversource. Jameson Folk from Senator Murphy's office is on the line, as well as Kevin Tedesco, who is joining us on behalf of DOT today.
Okay, public comment. Is there anyone that would like to address the COG? All right, one
Great.
more shot. Last call for public
We
comment.
did not receive any electronic requests for comment.
All right, we'll go to item 3, CNVMPO meeting. 2025-2028 tip amendments. Rich Donovan.
Good morning, and thank you all. So there are two amendments, we've been requested to act on at the meeting. The first project, 471, is actually removing a project from the current tip. This project is replacing traffic control signals at various locations, throughout the Hartford urban area, including several locations in Bristol. This is being removed from the tip though, because it was funded fully under last year's, or under the 2024 funding sources and no longer needs to be included in the 25 to 28 tip as a result. The second project, 171-XXXDI, is the addition of, further low and no emission vehicle funding from, FTA into a project that previously existed. These additional funds will support the purchase of more battery electric buses for use within the Connecticut Fast Track system, which does send vehicles into our region through Cheshire and Waterbury, as well as Bristol. As part of this project, not only will there be more battery electric buses rolled out, but previous funding already existed for the update of maintenance facilities and storage to cover charging and regular maintenance of these vehicles. And so with that, we request the adoption of resolution 25-03, which makes these two changes to the tip.
So
I'll make the motion to adopt resolution 2025-03.
All right, is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Update, Rich?
Yes, I apologize, I have one more slide up here, that's impossible. Please go, there we go, one more. So, this is just an update, there's no action required on this today from all of you. But I do want to remind you that this time of year, we are asked to endorse safety performance targets for the MPO boundaries. Or either set our own for the MPO boundaries or adopt and endorse the statewide safety target. In recent history, we have always endorsed the statewide targets. The reason we are not asking you to endorse them today is we will likely recommend adoption of the statewide targets again, but would like to show alongside what regional targets might look like if we were to follow the same target setting criteria. Just to briefly go through the safety performance target process and history. There's 5 categories that we must set targets for in every urban area. As you'll see here, highlighted in red on the right side of the screenshotted slide are the targets that CONDOT is setting for 2025. They are the same as the target for 2024. If you'll go forward one more slide. So several years ago, CONDOT adopted an aggressive target setting stance. And in the process, they, rather than setting targets based solely on the 5-year moving average of safety performance across these categories, have set targets that are lower than our performance would indicate. The penalty for not meeting these targets is the lack of ability to flex highway safety specific funding into other programs. The Connecticut DOT hasn't done that traditionally anyway. They are committed to spending highway safety dollars on highway safety projects and have exceeded the amount required in every year. So missing these targets, while obviously not ideal, has not had a negative financial impact on the operations at CONDOT or the way that projects get programmed and delivered throughout the state. You'll see here on this slide, this compares the performance of the 23 targets, or the past several years worth of targets against both the baseline, as well as whether or not we have hit those targets or made significant progress toward those targets. And in all 5 categories, we have not met or made significant progress. As I'm sure you've all seen across the state's highways, the updated variable message signs with the number of fatalities on our roadways shows that we are on track to meet or exceed last year's numbers. And so we have a long way to go to even meet our own targets, let alone achieve the long-term goal of 0. And so I just wanted to go through this, share some of the background information. I'm happy to answer any questions. At the January meeting, we will be presenting the statewide targets, as well as, again, using that same criteria to develop regional targets, just to show what that would look like, and making a recommendation that we endorse one of those 2 sets.
All right, any questions for Rich?
Mayor, I may ask, is there any ramifications for our COG as a result of not meeting these targets, the state not meeting these targets?
No, so like I said, the only other than the impact of the crashes that yield these our failure to meet these targets, the only financial impact is that highway safety dollars cannot be flexed into other programs. But it hasn't come up as a question. We spend significantly more than just the highway safety dollars on projects targeting safety improvements.
Okay, so no ramification for us at this level.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, minutes, 11/15/2024, COG meeting minutes.
Move adoption as presented.
We have a second?
Second.
Second from Bristol. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. 11/20/24, special meeting minutes.
Move adoption as presented.
I will second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 2, adoption of amended draft NVCOG bylaws. Rick, do you want to take us through this?
Sure. We don't have Attorney O'Connor online? Not her? Okay. No, I was expecting in person, actually. I
Should be.
don't know. Yeah. So, so this has been a relatively long road for all of us, and I want to go through it. The main, and I want to take responsibility myself for the initial draft and discussions with the executive board. I thought it would be simpler just to prohibit members who are not members of the CNVMPO from holding the officers' positions. This way we could adopt one organization, one set of bylaws. And I didn't anticipate how that would blow back, but that's my fault for creating that situation. The recommendation that I had made in the alternative was to adopt 2 sets of bylaws for the COG and the MPO, elect 2 slates, but essentially run things the same. As you see, we have the MPO meeting first, and then we go into the COG meeting. There was still opposition to that. So I was directed at the last meeting, which was the preliminary adoption. And just to be clear, the bylaws call for this board to amend the bylaws. You have to adopt a preliminary bylaw draft at one meeting. I have to send it to council for legal review, for legal validity, and then it has to come back and be voted on at this. It says at the next meeting, which is a little tricky, by this body for adoption, for final adoption. And so we did that. We set it up so that it's one organization, which was the desire of the board at the last meeting. And we created an article under it, which laid out the bylaws for the CNVMPO. And just to remind you all, this does not involve the 4 towns that are members of the Greater Bridgeport Valley MPO, Ansonia, Derby, Seymour, and Shelton. So that's the way we set it out. 1 slate of officers, 2 organizations. So I sent it to council. The memo from council is in your packet. And what the memo basically says is we can't do it. You can't have one body, two memberships on one body where some have some powers and others don't have the same powers. So what we've done today to simplify this, taken the MPO out of the bylaws. We haven't had MPO bylaws since we formed, only because we were originally waiting for the merger of the 4 towns from Greater Bridgeport up to Valley, which has never happened. So, what you have now is a set of bylaws that just cover NVCOG, election of NVCOG officers, and, some changes that we made. The major changes in the bylaws have to do with remote meetings, and try to come, further in conformity with state statute. We're removing the requirement for 2 signature paper checks so we can do electronic payments. Still requires the same people to sign off on vouchers on a voucher system before the check, before payments are issued. And the abolition of the Regional Planning Commission and replacement with the Community Technical Advisory Committee, which is more like the TTAC for transportation. Will now have a land use planning and other community planning issues. So, I mean, those are the major changes. We've deleted the bylaws of CNVMPO and present them for your approval. Attorney O'Connor was fine. He said we can vote on because I asked the question, you had a preliminary adoption at the last meeting of a different set. Then we had changes based upon some legal review. There's some other statutory changes and alignments that he made as well, several of them, to bring us into conformity with state statute on certain issues. And then, I should mention this. We tried to adopt bylaws that would allow or require that if there's not a chief elected official of a city, meaning someone who's elected by all the people at large, that the town manager would be the representative. It doesn't comport with statute, so we can't do it. So it'll continue to be by the ordinance each of you adopted to belong to this organization, you determine how you're selecting your representative. Member is the town, representative are each of you. And you'll go through that process, you'll follow that process to select the representative from your community if there is no chief elected official according to statute. Okay, at this point, I'd be happy to take any questions. I'll note we're joined by Attorney O'Connor, and Gary, I just sort of went through the highlights of why we're just adopting bylaws without the MPO today, not addressing the MPO in the current bylaws. And I tried to address the highlights of the statutory changes. All right. So if there are any questions, Mr. Chair?
Are there any questions? Does,
Attorney, wanna?
So,
we want to proceed to a motion?
sure, I think that'd be appropriate.
Okay, and just to be clear, the controversial issue that we discussed is not involved in this. It'll come up at some later time with MPO bylaws.
Yeah, I would suggest, with due respect, that the chair appoint a committee to work with me and the transportation planning directors.
Okay.
Director.
And having listened carefully at the last meeting, I would suggest that the committee consists of Mayor Chatfield, who has the most historical knowledge. First Selectman Temple, who has some legal expertise and had a lot to say about this. I think Mayor Cassetti should be involved. And is there anyone else who wants to be involved?
I understand. I understand I understand what you're trying to accomplish. I would just note Mayor Cassetti is not a member of the CNVMPO.
I think he should attend and state his concerns.
Okay.
Anyone else want to be involved? All right, so we'll appoint that subcommittee and have them work with Rick and with council and come up with a solution, and anyone who wants to attend can attend. We all want the same thing, so it shouldn't be as hard as it seems.
So, well, following that directive, we'll wait until we get into the new year. We'll notice the meetings. We'll do them remotely, hybrid meetings, so whoever can attend can attend. Make it as easy as possible. Mr. Chairman, if you want to, I don't know if Attorney O'Connor wants to add anything at this point.
It's our Christmas luncheon today, Rick, so.
Not until noon, though. Not until noon.
We're gonna vote afterwards. the
Yeah,
lunch.
I mean, I'm sure Rick went over everything. It's in the memo I sent you folks. I mean, the revisions that we made were generally, some just organizational and, typo corrections, some revisions of definitions to, conform with, the new applicable statutory definitions and the real substantive issue was, deletion of the bylaws of, the Central North Valley MPO. As an article with the, NVCOG bylaws. It sounds like you've already had, some discussion of that, but, our thought was that the Central North Valley MPO is a separately organized entity. It has different membership requirements and it's organized under different federal statutes and state agreements. So and the eligibility requirements for the two organizations are different. So it seems to me that it makes sense to have the bylaws separate from the NVCOG bylaws, in order to comply with, federal regulations and to maintain that kind of separation. There's the precedent for that also. Western Connecticut Council of Governments has two MPOs and they both have separate bylaws, separate from the bylaws of the Western Connecticut Council of Governments. So, for those reasons, we made that recommendation. And if there's anything else in the bylaws that I had a question on, I'd be happy to answer.
All right, questions for Attorney O'Connor? All right, Jeff.
I'll make a motion to adopt the draft NVCOG bylaws preliminarily adopted on 11/20/24 as amended and restated by council.
Very good, Jeff. I'll second. Thank you for doing that.
Well stated. Any questions, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Got one done.
All right, Rick, the employee manual, do we have to discuss that?
You need to adopt it. So the NVCOG employee manual, there's a copy in your packet. It consolidates all of the actions taken by this body prior to and through the last budget adoption. So all policies, benefit changes, everything is in there. We've also included and updated to conform with state statute and federal law in terms of family leave, other provisions that were not previously included in there. And we've adopted as schedules or appendices. There's now an AI policy that had been developed by committee, which was included in there. There's an IT policy. And then we formalized all of the remote work options and requirements for the agency.
Okay, so we're looking for a motion to adopt the manual.
Yep.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Financial report, Michael.
Thank you. So this is a summary of the financial report for the period ending October 31st. I did go out in your agenda packets last week. We are 33% through the year, 4 months. our current net position is $234,000, which is gonna converge to a balanced budget towards the end of the year. We do have a cash balance of 1.8 million and our deferred revenue 2.2 million. Our indirect expenses are about 21% on target, so 12% under the current position right now. Outside of that, there's nothing really else significant to report, kind of status quo from the last report. There's no expected funding cuts. We 100% of the RFP funds in this financial period. However, interest revenue has increased 400%. I originally had to budgeted for about 1,000, but switched banks, better interest rates, so now we're at 4,000. And we're probably going to be close to 8 to 10 for the end of the year. Outside of that, it's not much significant to report.
Rick?
Yes, it just, two things, as you can see, big difference moving over to Ion Bank. It's been a great relationship so far. It's helped us with a lot of our stuff. Michael, I apologize for not being able to address this with you before the meeting. I did get a question. Just to explain to the members, this report, our financial reports do not include the monies available under the revolving loan fund for BPA, correct?
Correct. Well, technically, they're included in the deferred revenue, but it's not broken out separately.
But just the administrative dollars, not
No, the full shebang.
that's still in the federal accounts?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
How does the auditor
In
handle it?
ASAP.
Say again,
My ASAP?
yes,
No, it's not included here. Just the post-close-up program.
correct. So if we've drawn any of the money, it's in our report as deferred revenue if we're not spending it immediately. And if it's, otherwise, it's still in the federal accounts.
Well, doesn't the auditor segregate that? Those
No,
funds?
because it's available just like any other grant, but until we actually incur the expenses and receive the revenue, it's just like a receivable.
But it's designated, it's under a grant that can only be used for the purposes of the grant.
Correct. So I mean, it would be the same situation for all our FBA accounts, for really all the grants. It would be just, we would be looking for just kind of grant back.
Follows the same protocol.
Yeah, it just, instead of us sending an invoice out, we have a portal that we draw the funds down from. If that's something you would like to see on the reports?
Not necessarily, I just
Here,
wanted to be ensured that it follows the protocols of all the grants and stays as a grant.
Yes.
I wouldn't want to see Ricardo get shortchanged.
No.
You get some of these zealots out there that think that they can. Yeah.
No, the funds are segregated. The funds that are drawn down from the federal accounts for loans and grants are segregated, physically segregated in bank accounts now.
Yeah.
And any of the program income, I think is just kept on a ledger, right?
No, so the program income is in its own bank, it is sharing bank account.
Very simple.
All right, any other questions for Michael?
Move adoption. I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Director's report.
Okay, this is gonna be really quick. As most of you have already received notice, the chairman canceled the meeting on, scheduled for Friday, January 10th. Which was the waste committee. That's the regular meeting of the waste committee on Friday at this meeting time, a week prior. And we'll be holding the executive committee meeting, at that meeting. So the plan is for Michael and I to do as best as we can to get you a preliminary budget, given the outlook, right now, for the executive board to discuss. We'll be narrowing down some items for discussion of the legislative agenda, state legislative agenda. We also have some federal, legislative stuff we want to talk about. But the budget is the very important thing because we have to adopt the full board has to adopt the preliminary budget next year, next January. So, a week following the executive board meeting. So at the executive board meeting, we'll get it out to you, hopefully with some advance time to review before the executive board. We'll do our best. And then from there, we'll be able to discuss it. But it's just, we have to adopt a preliminary in January and set targets for things like dues. And get notices out to the towns. But you don't adopt the actual budget until May or June.
May, yeah.
That's it. Happy to take any questions.
Questions for Rick? Okay. Item 7, Drew, Municipal Affairs.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Sorry, I'm not there in person. On the mend from pneumonia, unfortunately. So wish I could be there with you all today, but unfortunately cannot. So emergency management update. The only thing we really have there is that the deadline for SBA loans and public assistance from FEMA related to the August 18th and 19th flood is Christmas Eve. So what I'm hearing from John Field, who unfortunately also can't join us today, is that they've been seeing really good, things coming in from the towns and from the nonprofits and everybody, and they don't think anybody's been left behind. But if you do know of anybody on the public side or from a nonprofit perspective within your town that might still need some assistance, please encourage them to get that done ASAP, as they've got 4 days to get that in. Short of that, emergency management, there's not too much else going on, with the exception of for a regional emergency planning team in Region 2, which would be Derby, Shelton, Seymour, and Ansonia. At 11 o'clock, immediately following this meeting, they're holding a vote to reassign the fiduciary duties, take them from RiverCog and give them to the East Shore Health District, which is based out of Brantford, North Brantford, East Haven, that area. So if you have any interest in that, to the CEOs and or their designated EMDs from those towns, I suggest you log on at 11. And if you need that link, please let me know, and I'm happy to get it to you individually.
Okay, we have a grant application.
Yes, we do. And kind of a standard operating procedure for RPIP grants, the Regional Performance Incentive Program through OPM at the state, is that we need a resolution of this board in order to support the application. For those of you that are not aware, I think most of, if not all of you are aware, we are doing multiple animal control facility grants. The first one to get off the ground here is going to be a facility in Bristol that'll be utilized by both Bristol and Plymouth. So all this is a resolution endorsing the application by this board, with the main provision being that by year 4, the project will be self-sustaining. In other words, Bristol and Plymouth will fully be paying for the operation at that point. So the recommendation is a motion to adopt the resolution.
Move adoption resolution 2025-04.
I will gladly second that, and also thank Drew and Mayor Kilduff, who is not here, and even Mayor Dunn, for trying to work together. I hope that we're the tip of the spear and we get a few more of these things going. So I'm excited about it. We're hitting lots of bumps. Drew, I'll talk to you about 30 Cross Street, but we're getting there, and hopefully it works out well.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Good luck.
Thank you.
We'll be following you shortly
Yep.
with my new partner, the
That's it.
town of Cheshire.
And Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
if I may, one more thing, unfortunately, did not make it onto the agenda. We just found this out yesterday. The Regional Waste Authority, the next step is going to be a survey that's going out to all of you that we're going to ask for your help to populate, and you're going to probably need the help in some cases of your public works directors, of your town clerks, and or your finance offices. So please keep an eye out for that in the first couple weeks of January. That'll be a really critical step in us moving forward with that process. Just wanted to put that note out there.
Yeah, I have a question. What's the subject matter of that survey?
That is going to be just to determine your existing conditions within your community. So whoever knows best your private hauler contracts, and or if you have ordinances that govern your trash pickup, things like that. It's being devised right now by Tetra Tech, by the consultant. Our staff will review that with them, and then we'll get it to you folks, and we'll help you however we can if there's gaps in the information.
What does that mean, to determine the conditions?
Just for instance, Derby, for instance, which obviously I know intimately, has a contract with a private hauler that has certain dollars and cents attached to it and certain provisions. In order for us to determine if it makes sense for Derby, Shelton, and Seymour to somehow combine forces in regional waste and or a larger group, we need to know all those things. So it's just existing conditions for what you're doing for trash and recycling in an oversimplified version.
Maybe say it a different way. How do you collect your trash? How do you dispose of your trash? How do you
Right.
pay for this stuff? What kind of labor stuff is involved?
Exactly.
Well, one thing is a common theme for everyone. The tip fee is way up. Of course. Way, way up.
It's not common for everybody, sorry.
No.
There's a few towns
No,
in
we're
this
sorry.
COG that have a nice
Well,
contract, and that's why we're trying to collect
90% of
it.
the state.
Yeah, no, I agree with
Not hard to
that.
ascertain that.
Yep, totally agree.
So this was at last week's regional waste meeting with Tetra Tech, discussed getting into the contract, getting underway with it. So you know, my question for Drew, if I may, was two things, Drew. I wanted to make sure that you and our team are involved in the development of the questionnaire, or at least the review of it. And then wanted to make sure that you're vetting the list of who the consultant has for each town. We should be going through that, making sure the right multiple people are on it. And if it's in a given town, it should be the CEO and whoever's in charge of the solid waste and recycling.
Yes, and we discussed that yesterday. The designated recycling coordinator in each town, Christine, Tom, and I met with Tetra Tech yesterday to talk about access to their back end software and help. And we'll basically be reviewing every step before it gets to CEOs and staff. So absolutely yes.
Well, I also think that there's got to be a concerted effort to ensure that CEOs are in the know on the subject matter, because it's not going to go away anytime soon, and it's a big ticket item. Despite the fact there are a handful of municipalities in the state of Connecticut who got their contract 10 years ago and are still working through that, others have not. So, I mean, look, that needs to be clarified.
Yeah, and we would actually love to work
it's
together
gonna
to make
change.
sure that we help others in that.
Yes, sir. That's the goal.
All right. Any other questions for Drew? Have a motion? Good, right?
Yeah, we did.
We adopted the
We did,
resolution.
okay, he just added it.
Okay. Transportation planning, Rich Donovan.
Yes, thank you. So we spoke about this at last month's meeting. As we approach a fully programmed state in the LOTSA program, or I guess as we approach a fully expended state in the LOTSA program, we worked with TTAC to make an update to our regional LOTSA guidelines to determine a process by which projects may get prioritized in the rare chance that two projects are ready to go to construction at one time and the funds are not available to do so. You can go forward one slide. So just kind of a quick update on where we stand in the LOTSA program. You'll notice that the point where the red and green lines converge keeps getting pushed backwards, which is exactly what we anticipate happens. Project timelines change, project budget changes, and then other funding sources sometimes become available for some of these projects and take them out of the list. The other piece, Kevin and I have been doing a pretty thorough review of these projects as we go. We do still have some legacy applications that we've been carrying for many years that we are going to begin reaching out to confirm either commitment to or drop from our financial plan. But I do want to highlight a couple of key things here, which is as of yesterday morning, we received authorization to award up to now $94 million in projects that have been paid for through this program across the region. Including some pretty impressive ones. Many regions have caps on the size of their LOTSA projects, and we very intentionally chose not to. And by choosing not to, we're seeing projects that aren't just minor, we built 500 feet of sidewalk somewhere, or we're repaving a road somewhere, but we're making meaningful changes to the transportation system with this program. So we're really excited to see that. We're excited to see it continue. All 19 towns have interacted with the program in some way at this point, which is great. And so we, again, continue to be appreciative to the work of Conduct for making this program work, to Kevin and the transportation planning staff for keeping it moving, and to all of you for submitting really excellent projects and keeping them going as well. as you can see here, though, we do hit a point in our current financial assessments where we would cross that line, where there's more project spending than we have cash available at hand. And so when that time comes, we want to make sure that we're not just, or that we have a process in place that everybody agrees upon if two projects can't go to construction at the same time. As new projects have been coming in, we've been very careful to inform towns and engineers about the potential that you may not be able to build as soon as the design is complete, as we have done historically. But either way, so we worked very closely. TTAC formed a subcommittee to make some recommendations. Those recommendations were then reviewed and endorsed by the TTAC committee as a whole to get sent to you. Those recommendations would effectively allow TTAC to put a scoring sheet together. That score sheet would then make a recommendation of one project over another until the next until the next year's funding allocation becomes available and the next project can move. And then send that to all of you for effectively for adoption as the prioritized list. We think that this is still going to allow us to more effectively get funds into projects at much faster than the models the other COGs have all adopted. All of the other COGs hold regular solicitation periods. And so there's a window during which they accept new projects. There are limits on the number of projects that can be submitted or designed by a town at any one time. And we still think that would hold us back in terms of success on the program. So we think this model makes more sense. We think this allows us to move more money and move it faster. And we do this in hopes that as the other COGs begin to catch up and at least program the money that has been granted to them through the state legislature with LOTIP, that the department can go and make a push to the legislature again about the importance of this program and hopefully increase those annual allocations a bit.
Richard, the other COGs making any progress catching up?
Yes. So we'll certainly be the first to fully expend the funds available to us. The capital region is not too far behind. But the COGs who have been having the hardest time programming their dollars have changed their own allocation strategies a bit. And so right now, statewide, the program is a little bit more than 90% allocated.
Okay, good.
So spending is still moving a little bit slowly, but the actual allocation process has picked up quite a bit.
So Rich, if you run short though, you can always tap into the revolving loan fund.
I wish it worked that way.
Ricardo, see how I threw the bait out there? I just wanted to get a reaction out of him.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, just a couple of things on this. So TTAC is advisory, so ultimately, if it comes down to it, this is a policy that's going to prioritize their recommendations, but you make the decision as to what project goes.
Yeah, the recommendation only.
So if it comes down to that, and we're, we have a couple projects we're up against it in terms of schedule, this body's going to decide ultimately what goes first. I was just, and I want to have Rich and his team look at. We're not there yet. We're not even close to being upside down on the program because of the way these play out. But when we get to the point where we have finished designs or we can at least project finished designs, we know they're underway. We're going to develop a different projection for what it really looks like in terms of the timing so that you can understand what the delay might be. That's what we want to get at, is if a project is going to be delayed for money, you'll know it's going to be a year, it's going to be 6 months, it could be, it's going to be 2 years, whatever that number turns out to be. So, we'll dive a little deeper into
Rick, how far away from that point are we?
Well, so he's projecting about $30 million shortfall by 2027. That's if all projects currently in the system were fully funded and the money needed at that date versus what's available with the 27 allocation, right? Mm-hmm. So it's about 30 million. There's at least $7 million worth of projects that are sort of dead projects that have been just laying there since the beginning of the program. That filed an application, never advanced it. So those are the ones Rich was referring to. We're going to be talking to the towns about. So that's about 20 million. And then you get into schedule. Is a project that's applied for, that's $5 million, really going to have a finished design ready to bid in 2027. There are quite a few that won't.
Yeah, you see these two largest jumps here during calendar 26, which is between the second and third label on the bottom. We don't anticipate those moving on the schedule that we show here on the screen. It's what we've been told by the engineering firms doing the design work, but it doesn't seem to align with the progress they're making.
Right, and it's for those reasons.
That's a nice way to put
Nice way to say it.
But,
They're backlogged.
but as Mayor already just said, that's why we've always proceeded in this manner. We always overprogram and, it's been successful. I mean.
Yeah, and to that point, we would like to continue to encourage towns, submit applications when you're ready.
Yep.
Don't wait until we maybe get this number to look a little bit better, because these are going to change over time. And the last thing we want is to end up under-programmed because we've been waiting until we weren't over-programmed.
It's my favorite part when you say keep applying.
No, we love the program. We think it makes a huge difference across the region. And we're always surprised that our counterparts at the other 8 COGs aren't quite as aggressive about it as we have been.
At the same time, thankful that they are not, because then we get their allocations.
No, unfortunately, I wish that was the case. We don't get that.
I thought
We've asked PennDOT for that many times. We've even asked if we could like borrow against future allocations if they have money left, and we've been told that
They reprogram.
maybe hold off for now.
It's unissued debt of the
Really?
state.
And it just sits in the other cogs and
Yeah.
that doesn't get spent.
Yeah, the General Assembly issues a certain amount of debt, used to issue the entire amount of debt all at once for the first 2 years, I wanna say. And then all of that debt was issued with no projects to spend it on. So they stopped asking for the bond commission to issue debt for the projects. They still have the authorization for the full amount of the debt, but they now go in when we have an individual project. They're not caught up to the point where when we have a project that's approved, it goes to the bond commission. I guess.
Yeah, so when we do those quarterly reports, for those of you who've received certificates to fund your project, we go and do those quarterly reports. The department uses those to make an estimate of how much they'll need in between bond commission meetings. They request that plus a percentage to make sure they have room in case something moves faster. We have been fully cashed out for 3 years now. In our program, we've been moving quickly enough that it made sense to keep the program in fully in cash, but many of the other regions are not.
Okay, Rich, do you have
Yes.
anything else?
Yeah, so to that point, we discussed it last week, included in the meeting packet was an updated regional guidelines. And so our recommendation is to adopt resolution 2507, which endorses those guidelines.
Move resolution 2025-07.
I'll second it.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, community planning, Emily.
Mr. Chairman, good morning, everyone. NVCOG has published their 2024 Fall Community Planning Newsletter. We would first like to congratulate the City of Bristol on achieving gold certification with Sustainable CT. Their efforts were featured in an article highlighting Bristol's dedication to sustainability through its various community projects with outdoor classrooms, solar energy initiatives, and community park improvements. We thank the Town of Thomaston and the Thomaston Board of Education and their collaborative efforts in incorporating youth engagement into the Plan of Conservation and Development update. The opportunities for Thomaston's youth to learn and engage in their local and regional civic world have brought amazing insights and results. This month's Sustainability Spotlight features how municipal planning and zoning best practices empower residents to adopt solar without negatively impacting their communities. In November, NVCOG invited David Fraker from the U.S. Census Bureau to lead an informative webinar on how the data from the American Community Survey is competitive, access, and used in grant writing. A recording of the webinar is available on the NVCOG YouTube channel. A recording of the October Housing Coffee Hour, Demystifying 830G, is also available for viewing on the NVCOG YouTube channel. The webinar provided an in-depth look at the 830G affordable housing appeals process with Director Michael C. Santoro from the Office of Policy Research and Housing Support. We would also like to announce the publication of the Utility Assistance Resource Guide. This guide can help residents in the NVCOG planning region find resources that can help them paying their utility bills. This resource guide has been shared with your respective municipal staff to have on hand and to share. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them at the meeting. Thank you.
Simply a comment, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, of course.
I'd like to simply comment that, the planning staff here, SN, Emily, and all others, Tom, who's also in the room here today, have been a great assistance to the town of Thomaston. I thank the COG for that assistance and our POCD that is going down. This is only a piece of it that they're talking about, engaging the youth. Just again, expression of my gratitude. I'd like to let everybody know at this table, should you need youth help assistance in land use planning, your plan of conservation and development. This COG, I believe, maybe I'm speaking out of line here, Rick, but stands ready to assist. And I would emphasize all to take advantage if that need is present.
I'll echo those sentiments. Town of Beacon Falls also feels the same way as they felt this with our POCD and sustainability, and a lot of the COG's been a big help, and the team has just been going above and beyond. And although they come and they go, we hate to see them go, but we're glad that while they spend the time with us, and we look forward to some pretty big shoes to fill are the ones that we've had. And then so we're looking forward to continuing the relationship with Beacon Falls also. So I echo for Selectman Mullins.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions? All right, Andrew.
Yes. So, we began the process for the regional plan of conservation and development.
Oh, hold on.
It's okay. No, it's okay.
Am I good?
Yeah.
No, I thought Molly was speaking first. I'm sorry.
Okay,
You're fine.
Yep, all right, so I was elected chairman of our regional plan of conservation and development for the 19 towns. We've had several meetings to date, working with Molly and SN on the efforts. There's gonna be stakeholder engagement of all the municipalities, which Molly has begun the process of. So each municipality has a designated representative on the RPOCD board, or committee rather, and then they're actually going to be giving names of various individuals within the municipality for the interviews. And so I just ask that whoever those individuals are, meet with staff in order to ascertain the most pertinent items which are facing your municipality. So there's going to be monthly meetings of the regional plan of conservation and development, and I'll just provide brief updates as we move forward with the process.
So to your point, I think something that's probably relevant to most of us anyways, is the 830G statute. And
Yes.
how that changes and affects all your plans of comprehensive development over the years.
Yes, absolutely.
I know for me, it's having a big impact on our WPCA.
Now, you just handed out the questionnaire, didn't you?
Yeah, the questionnaires, Molly, questionnaires all went out?
We're working on that, so currently we'll be interviewing 3 people per town from the municipality, and then in the late January, February, there'll be a survey that goes out electronically.
So I think we just got our questionnaire this week, correct?
I don't believe I sent anything, maybe it was a different
Well,
one.
someone handed me one and I looked at it.
Oh, possibly someone got it from our meeting.
Yeah, that never happened.
Probably a draft. Chairman, they wanted the chairman to see the draft.
Right. Courtesy copy.
And just, if I could just add, I'm not gonna call anybody out, but there's 3 municipalities who have not selected a representative to be on the committee. And so I just ask, Molly's gonna be reaching out to those 3 municipalities, if you could please send somebody so we could have a quorum at the meetings, and I think it's good for everybody to have a seat at that table, because it's gonna be a multi-year process, and so it's gonna take a lot of time. But we wanna make sure that everyone's represented effectively. And just for those of you that don't know me, I might be the Cheshire guy now, which is like, kind of on the outskirts of the 19-town region, but I did work for the Waterbury Development Corporation for 13 years. So I understand the importance of Waterbury to our region for sure.
So Andrew, I'm probably one of those 3, I think.
As in one.
I'm really short-staffed at this point, so that's probably why there hasn't been. And overloaded.
Mine, because I had a vacancy in my land use department, and we've got a new guy on the block, so to speak, who needs to get up to speed before I give him additional work.
Absolutely.
And I think I could be the third.
There it is. We all confess it.
But I've had this thing called a flood, so.
FEMA's easy to get along with.
And it's a variety of, we have public works directors, we have planning staff, we have some clerical staff that are representative of the towns, and so it doesn't necessarily have to be public works director, so to speak. So I would, Kevin, I'd love to have. join
Yeah,
us, but-
our public works director is a little busy right
Absolutely,
now,
understood.
and I got a budget I gotta get figured out with FEMA. Bonding. So Andrew, there, going back to Merrill Loretti's question, the questionnaire includes 8-30G type questions for input.
You have a deferred amount.
So we keep it very general so that the people we interview can express whatever top concerns they have and challenges and also successes. Then the municipal survey, the electronic one that will go out in January, will be a little more targeted on how, it will have some housing questions. But I don't think we'll be at that specific to 8-30G. If you want, we can certainly add a question specific if that's of interest.
It's certainly a large issue, so I think you should.
So let me just give you a quick example of what's going on in my area with the 830G. Is that when you take single acre parcels or 2 acre parcels that would normally have 1 dwelling unit on it or 2 dwelling units on it, and then you get an 830G application where you get 50 or 60 on it, it's not too hard to figure out that the math associated with the number of gallons going into the sewer system increases from 100 gallons a day to 10,000 a day. And that's a big hit, especially when you have 4 or 5 of them in a row. And that's what I have right now, I'm dealing with right now. Throws all your data out of whack.
So if I could just, to wrap this up for the CEOs, and so there's not confusion. You're all asked to make appointments, but some of your appointees have recommended you as individuals to be interviewed in your town. So, you may get a second request from Molly asking to set up a time for an interview because whoever you appointed said you were one of the best people to speak to about POCD in your community. So it's just because you appointed someone, when you get that second follow-up for interview, please respond to that or assign it to someone if that's a better.
So Molly, you can feel free to reach out to me directly because I think that I would be the one speaking out on this.
And we don't mind being called out. We get called out a lot.
I mean, this is a big issue.
It is. And to augment your point, Mark, WPCA is often a limiting factor. Okay, it is in my town as well. We have a couple of developers that would like to build some affordable type housing, affordable market rate, a little bit of a combination of both. And because of the limitations of our water pollution control facility, we're kind of at a loggerhead here.
Yeah,
Can't move forward.
The thing that I fear the most is that when you plan, like these comprehensive plans tell you to do, and you plan for all the people who are not on the system, but the sewer runs in front of their house, all of a sudden, just the law says, if you got the capacity, you've got to give it. So what do? Give it to create an economic windfall for a developer who's taking advantage of a flawed law and leave everyone else behind? I mean, that's just crazy. But that's what's going on.
Yeah. We're doing all the same thing in Treasury right
now. We experienced this 15 years ago, Mark, and I was the former chairman of our sewer authority, so kind of understand what capacity can do to you. We did this whole capacity study, looked at the entire town, and every bit of development that comes into us has to meet that level. You can't exceed it, Mark, or the permit is denied because it ties to a very formal capacity study that we did that protects that capacity so we don't run into the overload situation. So the only problem you've got with the state laws now, they're telling people now that even if there's an issue with your sanitary system, your sewers can't handle it, that the state will now now reimburse you to upsize the system and all that. I wish everybody good luck on that, but anyway.
It's a slow process, as you know, to upgrade the system and to increase the
No, but
capacity.
what I'm saying is, I think you better Mark, you better get out there and get some studies done. That determine
I've been doing it for 25 years. We have all this stuff. But like I said, the Planning and Zoning Commission they determine density. That was under the new rule, the Newtown ruling, a few years ago. Under the 830G. I mean, a lot of this just defies logic.
Absolutely. So luckily, we have a good housing planning section as well as land use planning section, and we'll make sure all this is considered in the regional plan of conservation.
Yeah.
And this is our first one, by the way. We have never done a regional plan of conservation development as NVCOG. So first one out of the gate.
Glad you're in the mix, Andrew.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
If I could.
Yes, Rick.
So in my rush to get through my director's report quickly, I did forget to do one thing, which is to introduce to all of you one of our new employees. So Kate, if you want to just say hi, Kate Pippa is our new transportation planner. She reports to Rich and resides in Shelton and is a great addition to our team. We're really happy that she's joined us.
Welcome, Kate.
Welcome.
So does that give me any insight in the process?
I'm not gonna tell you how many people live in Shelton. We have a few. Well, actually, Rich abandoned you.
Rich will pay a price for that.
I already have.
Literally, I'm Rich.
Bought a house in New Haven.
Oh.
Definitely pay for it.
I'm developing this annual tradition, speaking of wastewater, of my main sewer line being a problem at Christmas time. So paying the price for sure.
All right, environmental planning, brownfields update, Ricardo.
Next slide. So I just want to thank everyone for that attended the regional brownfield partnership last week. It was a great success. We did a lot of socializing and we learned a lot of valuable information. If you haven't participated in one of these events, you can stay up to date on the next one with the following QR code. The QR code will also guide you to funding opportunities as well as project status updates and random environmental facts. So if you're not part of the RVP newsletter, please sign up. It's very informative. Also wanted to let everyone know that on December 16th, the RLF committee has approved 2 new projects, 0 Maple Street and 226 Rubber Ave in Naugatuck. We're currently working on the subaward agreement with our legal team. As soon as they get drafted, we'll be sharing that with the borough and we'll get those executed ASAP. Anticipated to commence those 2 projects somewhere around springtime. So we'll keep you up to date in the newsletter as well. Next slide. And lastly, brownfield flooding opportunities, as I mentioned in the last meeting, DECD will be opening up another funding round sometime in January, February. If you have a project that you think is a good candidate, please reach out so we can start gathering the environmental documents, start discussing a strategy to assessment is a max of $200,000 and cleanup a max of $4 million. So if you think you got a good fit, reach out. We'll help you with those steps. I also wanted to share that we did hire a new employee for the Brownfields Department, Inez Ortiz. She will be starting January 6th. So you will be formally introduced to her next meeting. So just be on the lookout. I really do think she's going to be a good addition to the team.
All right, any questions for Ricardo?
Just point out, Mr. Chairman, the photograph that you all saw of the meeting that was held in the Barrel Room at Bad Sons, which is a brewery in Derby, which was one of our brownfield project sites a number of years ago. Great place, but for those of you who don't know, Bad Sons is not a name, it's an acronym. It's Beacon Falls, Ansonia, Derby, Shelton, Oxford, Naugatuck, and Seymour.
Yes,
That's Bad
nice.
Sons.
Nice, very
Great
nice.
event too.
Thank you for that, Rick.
Yep.
I simply took it literally.
couldn't make it that day.
All right, my favorite topic, Kinney Town Dam, Eric.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we are going to be asking for a resolution to allow us to apply for some more funds, but first I'll give you a quick update and a little background on the resolution slide. So we did pass the deadline that our asset purchase agreement laid out for the acquisition of the dam, but we were prepared on our side to acquire the property. We're just waiting now on the current owner. They do have an attorney, and they are seemingly working toward the acquisition, and we're hoping to do that in the next few weeks. We are working right now on.
I don't like the word seemingly.
Well, all indications are that they're working towards the resolution. You know, we've had a long history with the current owner, so but we're optimistic. So the procurement for the engineering services, we should have a contract any day now, and we're expecting them to hit the ground running the first of the year on the design and engineering for the dam removal. The design of the sewer relocation is progressing. CDM, our contractor, is working on that and doing all of the sort of preliminary data collection, and has been working with the town on figuring out which alternative makes the most sense. And we have been holding bi-monthly community meetings. The next one is set for January 16th at 6 p.m. at the Ansonia Senior Center. And we're going to continue those bi-monthly meetings, just meeting with the community, making sure that they're aware of the progress we're making, and make sure that their voices are heard as we start developing a plan to remove the dam and restore the river. Next slide. So I gave a more in-depth update a couple months ago at our meeting, and I shared this slide, which shows the funding that we've received to date. The big one, obviously, is the NOAA grant that we received in 2022 under the Restoring Fish Passage through Barrier Removal Program. We've also received commitments of funds from DEEP. EPA has spent probably now over $1 million on their targeted brownfield assessment that's helping inform the dam removal design. And we've also received congressionally directed spending for the sewer relocation and a grant from DEEP for the design of the Nugget River Greenway through the site. So right now, committed and pending, we have just under $23 million, but we know that it's going to cost a lot more than that to do this project. So we're out searching for funds all the time. Next slide, please. And NOAA has released another round of funding under the grant that we received, the Restoring Fish Passage through Barrier Removal Program. That has an $8 million cap and is due on February 10th. We're already working on that application right now. They've also announced the Transformational Habitat Restoration and Coastal Resilience Grant Program, which this project would fit under. And that has a $10 million cap and is due on April 16th. So we would like to apply to both of these programs. We've been already talking to our partners at NOAA. Next slide, please. So what we're asking for today is for you to adopt Resolution 2025-05, which authorizes us as staff to submit the grant application to NOAA, and also to authorizes Rick to execute any agreements that would come of those grant applications.
Okay, any questions?
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
So move. Second it.
Who made the motion? Middlebury. We have a second?
Eric Cassetti.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Any discussion?
I would say two things. First, I would ask, is this to move both resolutions 202, 505, and 06 combined? And lastly, do you have any idea, Aaron, what this project's gonna come in at?
So no.
No.
Well, I think the sort of the elephant in the room is the sediment issue and how we're going to deal with the sediment. And we have been meeting with DEEP and EPA, you know, trying to figure out how we're gonna do that. There's still gonna be a whole nother round of testing required so that we can figure out what exactly is going to be allowed with the sediment. You know, our original, you know, I think Save This On, our partners came up with a, you know, a sort of a low end of $30 million for the dam removal. But I think the sediment is gonna drive that cost up.
I won't put Aaron on the spot. I think it's a $30 million project for the deconstruction work and the sanitary work, 20 and 10, something like that. Probably about $5 million of preparatory work to get us to that point. Then the question is, how much is the sediment to manage the sediment? So. and we
Mr.
won't know-
Chairman, Mr. Chairman, when you put together, if I could, it's Mayor Cassetti, we are the lowest laying town on that river coming down. And I am very, and I voiced my opinion to Craig Stevenson, very concerned about the sediment. So if I could see what the plan is when you do design something so I could look at it, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, why don't you send him the consultant's report that we recently received that is, to me, very encouraging. The one about moving the muscles.
Yeah.
I like that.
Liver mussels? No. Some rare ones. Yeah, no, I mean, look, we'll be providing everyone with the information, absolutely, understand your concerns, Mayor Cassetti. The sediment management plan will be developed by EPA, it'll be reviewed by DEEP, then it'll be reviewed by the Army Corps of Engineers. And then the FERC would endorse it, so they'll have a model. And I think that's probably the point at which would be best to provide you with information is when we have the sediment model. When we know how we need to manage it according to the environmental regulations, then we'll know where it's going to end up. The model will project where the sediments are going to end up. But the vast majority of these sediments that go downstream will be in the Housatonic River south of Shelton. Is, you know, that's where they're going to end up. And those are areas we've already identified, the state already identified as sediment starved areas. There should be much more sediment in the lower Housatonic River, but you have a dam at Derby and you have a dam at Seymour and Sonia on the Naugatuck River. So the two rivers, the Housatonic and the Naugatuck, have not allowed sediment to flow for the better part of 170 years. So where it's going to end up for the most, I mean, and you'll get the engineer's model, but where it's going to end up is in that stretch, primarily south of Sunnyside and down.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Cassetti thinks he's at the end of the pipe.
You're up further, Mark.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm below you guys.
So Ed, did you move both resolutions simultaneously?
Sorry, just to answer that question, the 05 is separate from 06. 06 is for a separate grant that the town.
We'll move 05 then. I'll make the motion that we move 05.
And Mayor Cassetti already seconded it.
Okay, any discussion on 05? All those in favor? Aye, opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I'll make the motion to do 06.
And I'll second.
Any discussion on 06? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I have one comment. Rick, can we move the end of the pipe to Stratford? Seeing how they're not here?
No,
I don't think so.
we'll be good. We'll be good.
Yeah.
All right, roundtable?
Yep.
All right, is there anyone here today that would like to bring up a topic for discussion?
Yeah, just a quick one. I wanted to inform everyone in the, on the topic of trash, MSW in the state of Connecticut. Myself and the Public Works Director for the town of Fairfield, who has been involved in the MSW project in Bridgeport for 40 years. We spoke at the Bridgeport MPO yesterday to apprise them of some of the things that were initiatives that this board is already aware of. So the effort is to, as I said earlier, make sure that the chief elected officials have a good understanding of the MSW situation in the state of Connecticut. And I also told him that it was not my goal to solve the state of Connecticut's MSW problem, but that I was focusing on the Naugatuck Valley and the Bridgeport region for a resolution for us.
There
And
is Trumbull in that cog.
Trumbull and Easton.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I do think that there are some answers and solutions right here in the Naugatuck Valley that we may be able to perfect. And that's what I was gonna be focusing on. This is you.
Okay, anyone want to bring anything up? All right, let's go to Thomaston on item 12.
Which would be what, a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Oh, you got it.
Second.
Bristol.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll see you at La Tavola. Rick?
12 minutes.
Sounds good. See you in a little bit.
At the end of the meeting.
I send my regrets. I won't see you. I have to go to the senior center.
What about lower?